Guys, welcome back. This is a continuation of our JS Racing S2000 wide body kit from Hobby Design, and we've gone ahead and proceeded with cutting off the front nose section, which is going to be replaced by this nice beefy resin section. Some things to note here on the actual instructions itself. Again, there's no real cut and dry sort of this is where you're supposed to cut, this is how much you need to remove, so it becomes a little bit difficult. However, it kind of gives you a fairly good indication here to cut along the door line and then again along the side skirt. But once we reach this point back here, which is kind of, I'll turn it on this side, it's kind of giving the indication. Again, there's a big thick dotted line there, but it's not too bad. Is simply this little edge here. Now, kind of fitting it up and looking at it, it seems that the kind of indent on the door line seems to line up with where it wants you to cut on the side skirt. So just when you're starting this portion and cutting off all of the excess, make sure to leave, I left probably about half a mil worth of plastic still there, so that I can slowly sand that back and then get a nice perfect fitment when it comes to actually putting it on the side skirt. So just something to note. Then for the underside of the body here, it's calling to have you remove all of this kind of frame structure here. However, what it's also not telling you to do is all of these sort of resin blocks also need to be removed, because they do not fit flush with the kind of undercarriage of the stock S2000. So just make sure when you're removing these as well, you're removing these large blocks here. So we'll bring it back when there's something of interest and when the whole body kit's put together. Okay guys, bringing you back here quickly. Now we did separate the front portion, and we've gone ahead and attached the side skirts first. Because there is only 2 points of contact on the front clip here, being these two, which are wide enough, but aligning the side skirts first gives us an extra 2 points of contact to properly align this. Now while this is kind of setting up here, I went ahead and cut off the bumper from the back half, and that's fairly simple. There's a bumper line on either side of the rear quarter panels, and then you're just following the line that goes on the trunk. Now the real kind of tricky part here is when we start to move into the headlight buckets. And as you can see here, I kind of took a Dremel and went quickly around the area, hogging out a lot of that material. But because the headlight buckets are sort of recessed in there leaves a lot of flash around the inside. And then just quickly test fitting the taillights here. You really need to get that lip off in order for it to fit flush. So again, taking sanding sticks or a Dremel or whatever you have to completely flush that. You can kind of see it's a darker plastic there, but it is flush now. and just working that back slowly is to not take off too much material, but taking off just enough to that for that to fit, because you can see here there's a large lip of excess material that needs to be sanded flush. So just to keep you guys aware of what's going on here. So I'm just going to come back when there's something interesting, or we move on to the next step. Okay guys, as you can see here, I've got the side skirts mounted and the rear bumper mounted as well. I've just got this tape up because there was a bit of a curvature with the side skirt, but I didn't have that problem on this side. Now, there is a few things to note when you're installing these. A lot of the time you want to make it flush from the inside here. However, it really only works when you flush mount the outside edges. Same with the rear bumper here, you want it flush with the outside of the piece, not the inside, all the way around. And when it comes time to installing the rear fenders, I found that a lot of these tolerances in here and in this portion of the where it seats, it really needs to be trimmed off quite a bit. I nearly sanded this flat. There's just a little bit that hooks in there, and on the back side with that little piece here, I trimmed it back about 20 thou from each side to fit in correctly. And as you can see, if I mount the back half here, it does sit a little proud, but once you put some tension and force on it, it does seat into place just fine. So good news on that front. And then for the front bumper, these two kind of locating tabs, one there and one here, they also were a bit tight, so I just shaved like a fraction of it off so that it seats well enough into these two marks here on the main front assembly. And then after that's all said and done, everything fits up nice and tight on that side, and everything fits up nice and tight on the opposite side, as you can see here. So a couple of minor little trimmings that you have to do to get this to fit. That doesn't really tell you in the instructions, but that's why we're doing this, and that's something you should take into consideration when you're doing this. So I'm going to get the rest of the body pieces mounted up, and if I run into any problems, we'll come back and address those with you. Okay, not too long in the future here. We went ahead and tried to dry fit. As you can see, I've got them kind of taped, well, the left tail light taped into place, but as you can see here, there is quite a bit of a gap going on in between this outside edge of the rear quarter panel. Up top and on the side here, things are pretty flush, but then there is quite a nasty gap going on here. What I might do is I might take the kit lens and I might put it over top and then see if that actually covers those small gaps, and then kind of make a decision from there. If it does cover it, I'm not going to worry about trying to sand that down and getting this edge to butt up against that edge, because there is a kind of a seated lip in here that the brackets are supposed to theoretically sit on, and then messing with that is just going to set the whole geometry off. So if I can fit it, I will. If not, then we're going to have some fun with some epoxy putty. But yeah, just one thing to note, that even though I did line everything up correctly and made sure everything was flush on the inside, of the taillight buckets. I still did get those gaps, and no matter how much I kind of play with it, it still seems to stay in those certain areas. So just one thing to look out for. Even if you do it right, things might not fit up properly. That could be down to over refining of this, thinking that it's going to be, or sorry, over engineering, thinking that this is going to fit perfectly one way. And while that is a decent effort by the manufacturer and Hobby Design's design team, you know, at some points it can come back to bite you because things get too complicated for the material, and you end up with minor inconsistencies and gaps like that. So just keep an eye out for that, guys, when you're putting this thing together. Alright, and there you go, guys. Everything's installed. We've got the rear bumper, the rear fenders, side skirt, and the nose section all installed. Everything fits. All the gaps are nice and tight, and it seems to fit the stock chassis very well. All of the little louvers and whatnot are being left off until the end because those are going to get painted carbon. Same with the nose piece here. Now this one's going to have to be trimmed up a bit because it doesn't sit all the way in its hole, as you can see. So trimming off a little from either side, sitting it down, and then some super glue in the end will fix that, no problem. But really nice fit. It also even has the notches here for the fender flares to kind of go, or the inner fenders to, sorry, wheel wells to seat in correctly. So that's an added bonus there, that we know that fits. So yeah, that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe, as well as hitting that bell notification to find out when I've got new videos in. And then go ahead and check out my website, Z.M.S.C.modelworks.com. Links in the description. And we're going to start a more in-depth build of this there, just by writing. And then there'll be some more pictures as well, a little closer up photos. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.